Hey. Okay, look. I already know. You never met nobody like me. Never have you ever. But you gon' find out. Hey, what up, y'all? It's Flava Hype, in the building. Yo, I wanted to talk to y'all real quick about something that something around me reminded me of something, and I wanted to let y'all in on it. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at my pets here. Actually, hold on. So I have a dog and a cat. The dog's name is Cranberry, and there's Cranberry right there. Cranberry. Yeah, that's her. And I have a cat named Pebbles, and she's drinking water. Well, it's dark over there, but I can turn the lights. I'll just bring it here. So Pebbles, yes, it's dark. I know. I'm sorry. Here I am. And Pebbles is right there. Hey, Pebbles. So cute. All right, so here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to talk to y'all about. Let me get out of this dark spot. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. All right, so that's not good. I got a gleaming light. I'll just do it right here. Yo, something happened. Like, this happened to me a long time ago. I say it happened to me, but this is an experience that I've had. I've always loved cats. So if I'm a cat person. I love cats. Always have. Always will. And I grew up with them and having them as pets. I've also had a few dogs, but I've had more cats and I've had more experience with cats. And I've always just liked cats more than dogs. I don't hate dogs at all. I just like cats more. So one of the things that really stood out to me about kind of something that solidified my position with that is when I was younger, like, 20 some odd years ago, whatever. Like, my mom passed away in 1999. Okay, so rest in peace to Barbara. But the thing is, like, she was sick for a little while before she passed away. I had two cats. I had at the time it was a cat named Dion and a cat named Puffy. I had a few more, but it was just Dion and Puffy were main ones. So at the time I had, I was working and everything. She was sick, but she was like still at an apartment. I lived on my own in my apartment. Now, I had a pager at the time. As you know how long ago? Yeah, I had a pager. So I was asleep. It was my off day, and I was asleep, and I kind of woke up a little. I was like, okay, well, I'm asleep. All right, I'll go back to sleep. But the cat that I had named Puffy, she was like, meow. And I was like, what's going on? What do you want? And then she was like, meow. And I'm like, what are you talking? What is it? What do you want? You have food, you have water, whatever the case may be. I didn't really get out of the bed, but she kind of, gave me a couple more, and I was like, what is it? And I heard a beep. I was like, oh, snap, someone paged me. So I looked at the pager, and then it was like my aunt paged me. And I was like, okay, well, called the number back to see what's going on. She was like, hey, have you talked to your mom? I haven't talked to her in a minute. I've been trying to call, but I haven't been able to get through. No one's talked to her. No one's talked to her in probably a few days or whatever. And I was like, I hadn't, called or anything, but I didn't know that y'all were trying to get in contact with her, but I'll call and see what's going on with her. So I was like, okay. So I called, I didn't get an answer. So I called them back and I said, I didn't get an answer either. So let me just go over there and see what's going on and and I'll report back to y'all. I was like, okay. So a friend of mine came by to drop me off over there, take me over there to see what's going on. So go up to the apartment and then, kind of knock on the door. And I guess I didn't really get an answer, but I knew where her room was. So I walked around to where the room was and I could kind of see through the window. And she was kind of sitting there watching TV. And I was like, huh. So I was like, well, so I tapped on the window and she was like, okay. And then, started walking over to the door. So I walked over to the front door and I didn't know what was going on. I was like, well, maybe she was just, didn't really hear the phone, or maybe it was in another room or whatever. She wasn't really tripping on it. So for whatever reason, she was having trouble unlocking the door. And I was like, well, hey, what's going on? Can you hear me? She was like, yeah, I'm trying to get the door. So it was just like, I guess the doorknob lock on the door, it like she had problems with it. I couldn't see. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, hey, what's going on? No one else was in there. It wasn't anything like that. But I tried to figure out what it was. She was like, hey, I can't quite get the door. I was like, what do you mean you can't get the door open? She's like, I'm trying, but I can't. I said, at this point, I'm like, yo, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? So when she was like, hey, call like the landlord to call the fireman or something like that, I was like, okay. So did that. So I got in contact with him. But something that happened before that, like someone kind of broke in to her apartment. And when they broke into her apartment, she was like, nah, I'm not going through this again. She changed like the locks on the door. She changed the doorknob so it had a different key and everything. But she didn't give that to the landlord of the apartment complex. So they didn't have, the maintenance guy didn't have a key to that apartment anymore because she changed the locks because it had been broken into. So they couldn't really get in, and we were all trying to get in and all that. And so somehow we were able to get into it. But, she was kind of on the floor a little bit, not like, it was just weird. Like, she was dressed and everything, but it's just like, dang, what's going on? So they, kind of rushed her to the hospital to see what was going on with her. So like, she was really, really sick and couldn't really, like, her mind, everything was kind of foggy, and it was weird and different. And I was like, man, what's going on with her? So she's at the hospital. I'm like, all right, cool. At least she's there. That's like the best place other than just sitting at the home and not knowing what's going on. So I got in contact with everyone. It's like, hey, she's at the hospital, she's sick or whatever. So they're cool. So she was in there for some days. And so I would call and check on her and things like that, periodically throughout those days and things like that, while I still, went to work and everything. And so, the thing that happened, like after that, she was, So it was pneumonia was the thing that really got to her and ultimately took her out. Like, she was already sick, but the pneumonia got to her, and that's what kind of did her in. And I was like, oh man. And like, I went to, where was that? I think I went to go play ball. Like, I was just sitting around the house because I didn't know what was going on. And they were like, yo, like, do something. If you're just sitting around the house, you're only going to be thinking about that. Your mind's going to, go to wherever kind of place. Like, do something, continue to live your regular life and do what you do. You can't really do anything helping her just sitting here at the house. And I was like, you know what, you're right, all right, cool. So I went to go play some ball with some friends of mine and all that. Like I would normally do anyway. Went to work and all that and everything. But when I went out to go play ball, when I came back in, I got like some phone calls, some messages that were on like an answer machine. And so I was like, yo, I got like 3 or 4 whatever answers to her. I was like, hey, we need you to come up to the hospital. It's about your mom. And I'm like, yo, okay, whatever. Then I clicked on the next message. It was like, hey, you need, come up to the hospital. Come on, we need to get in contact with you. Her condition kind of worsened. Like, she's made a turn for the worse, is what they said first. Then the message after that, I don't know how long in between the messages that they sent him, it was just like one after the other. I was clicking on it. And he said, hey, your mother has passed. We need you to come on up to the hospital. I was like, oh my goodness. And then, hey, it happens. So, but the thing is, and here's why I was, kind of always thinking like, man, something's going on with cats. Just kind of bring it back around. So had I just woken up and gone back to sleep, I probably would not have received that page. It wouldn't, I wouldn't have heard that beep because I was asleep. And so I would have just kind of gone on and not been able to get to my mom's place, her apartment, and then get her to the hospital around that time. So who knows what would have happened had I not done that. But the reason why I was awake still to hear that was because when I woke up, the cat that I had there, Puffy, she kept, kind of meow, meow or whatever, and wouldn't let me get back to sleep. So that's kind of weird that she did that. And I always say, well, had she not been there, it could have, possibly been worse for my mom, I guess, whatever the situation was. And, me, not knowing what was going on. Like I still talked to her, but it wasn't like in every single day because I was working a lot. I was working like 2 jobs at the time. So I was just working and I was still calling, talking, see how she was doing and all that. But, because of Puffy being there and not letting me get back to sleep right when I kind of wanted to, allowed me to stay awake to hear the beep on my pager and then call my mom or call them back and then contact my mom and go over there. So I've always said to myself, man, I knew there was something about cats, and I don't know if Puffy knew or whatever was going on. It could have just been that, but still, that situation was something that happened. And so I'm always going to appreciate and have respect and love for cats anyway. I always loved them anyway, but that's just one little thing that kind of let me know, like, wow, it's a good thing that I did have cats at that time. So yeah, so that's why me, Flava Hype, I love cats, and Pebbles is like the newest one. I've had many before and after Puffy. But because of that, I had one named Max. Max was actually my favorite. It was like an indoor outdoor cat, and he was like my favorite because he was most like me. He just loved to play and eat. That's all it was. That was like me in elementary school, just play and eat. And me and Max was like real tight. But yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I really, really love and respect cats and all that. So that's that. But it is what it is. Rest in peace, Barbara. What's going on, y'all? What's up? Hey, I wanted to touch on something real quick. Something that kind of came to me when I was talking about my mom. I know that, like I said, hey, I love you, Barbara, and everything. Here's the crazy thing about that. Now, growing up, my parents never taught us or told us, or never did we even hear anything about them asking us to refer to them as mom or dad. Like, we never did that in our household. I heard kids around us, mom, dad, da 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 da, and all that kind of stuff. We never did that in our household, which I never thought of it as weird because that's just how we grew up and we always did that. But I heard other kids say that if they ever called their, mom or dad or whatever by their first name, like they get in trouble for it because it's kind of weird to them and they would deem it as disrespectful or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, well, okay, if that's how y'all do it. But it never occurred to me that it was disrespectful to ours. It would sound weird to us if we ever called them mom or dad, because we always called them by their first name, which is like Johnny or Barbara. So the reason behind that was, and I overheard my mom telling this to another friend of hers, like some many years ago, that the reason why was because, well, they thought of it like, say for instance, a whole group of kids were out at the park or playground or whatever, something like that. And if one of the kids turn around and say mom, all the parents are going to turn around because they're not really going to know which mom or which dad is going to be. So if one kid says mom, all the parents look around and say, oh, okay, it's not my kid or whatever. So instead of having all that, go through all that, they said just to, call them by their first name. I call them Barbara or Johnny. Johnny's my dad. And so we always did that. It was never mom or dad. I think I tried to do it maybe a handful of times just because I heard other kids say it. And I thought about trying it and seeing if I could work it into it. And I was like, it didn't sound right coming from me. And none of my brothers and sisters did it. I say brothers and sisters. I have like one of each. But we never did that. And so that's just a weird thing to me to hear other people say that about like the relationship and how they address their parents. We never did it. And I was like, well, dang, how's it disrespectful if that's what they want you to call them? I get it if they said, call me mom or dad, don't call me by my first name, and then you call them by their first name. Well, it's disrespectful to do that if you're just not going to call them what they want you to call them. But mine wanted us to call them by their first name. So all the other kids, well, not all of them, but they were thinking that might be disrespectful. They're like, well, no, that's what our parents wanted us to call them. I mean, y'all's might not, and that's fine. So I wonder if there are any other little quirks or things that your parents did that might have been a little bit different from like other kids' parents and things like that. I just wonder what that is, because I remember that's one of the things growing up that always stood out to other people but never registered as something that was weird to us in our household. My brother and my sister always called him Barbara, Johnny, da da da, every single time. That's all it was. Never said anything about a mom, dad, mother, father, or anything like that. So that was just a crazy thing. But yeah, so that made me think about it when I was talking about my mom, and I said, hey, that's love you, Barbara, or whatever. And, like I never said mom. Yep. I did want to touch on a little something as far as another thing that my mom told me about growing up. And some of you have always heard this and may have or may have not, to varying degrees, and how you address a situation. And I'm talking about like when you're like defending yourself against someone. My mother always told me, hey, if a woman, if you ever, in the like, don't put your hands on anybody. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't put your hands on a woman, a female. Don't do that first. But if she decides she wants to put her hands on you, draw back and lay into her as if she was a man, because she has no business putting her hands on you. as long as you don't touch her first. My mother told me this on Everything I Love. Yes, she said it's perfectly fine in her eyes if a woman touches me, hits me, and I put that thing back on her, like slap fire out of her, knock her to the ground or whatever, just to let her know, don't ever put your hands on me. My mom told me that. It sounds crazy to some people. It didn't sound crazy to me, but I understand that I can't, for purposes of how I might be judged in the court of public opinion and how it might look to other people if I were to, even if it's just in self-defense, like men can hardly ever do that because it's always going to be looked at, well, hey, you should just walk away, and the men should just walk away, turn their head, get out of the situation. But no one ever, well, I've hardly ever heard people say to the woman, you need to walk away and don't put your hands on people. It's always, we need to hold ourselves. We need to hold restraint. We need to restrain ourselves, but never it's, hey, the woman needs to restrain herself. It's just kind of crazy like that. I don't mean to say never, but you know what I mean. So, yeah, I don't know what people's thoughts on that. I know some people will say, don't put your hands on a woman and never put your hands on her. Sometimes there are dire situations when it might be acceptable. Maybe if your life's in danger, if your overall health is in danger, if you really can't get out of the situation, you need to go through her in order to get out of the situation, get away from it, then okay, yeah, they'll kind of think about it like that, think about it a little bit differently. But men are always taught, don't put your hands on a woman. More often than not, they kind of don't. They show some restraint, and like, I get it. How many of the women are taught not to put their hands on a man, and they still do anyway? I don't know. But, I get it. I'm not saying I understand the double standard. I know it's it just is what it is. Sure, it's crazy to think about that. And I'm not saying, hey, men, go out and, I won't say the word, but like beat the mess out of, the ladies, not just because, sometimes I'm thinking.
Can you describe your thoughts on why you all are here and if that can be salvaged, Mr. Sampson?
I can't even believe this. I guess I was wrong, but I think it was really you. Trying to put back together my shattered heart, but even the pieces I pick up fall apart. Everything I did, everything I tried, even when you were wrong, I apologize. What am I supposed to do here? No one's gonna believe that I'm abused here. You got everyone thinking you're the nicest. Oh, precious you, so priceless. But behind closed doors, they don't see what I see without the mask. You weaponized everything I told you to traumatize me from the past. As long as your image was intact, you couldn't care less about the impact. No one sees the dagger wounds in my back, cause if I show them, I can laugh at. You were my anchor, my heart was the chain. No driving me crazy, just stay in your lane. I hurt through the happy, but smile through the pain. You don't see my tears, cause I dance in the rain. You were my anchor, my heart was the chain. No driving me crazy, just stay in your lane. I hurt through the happy, but smile through the pain. You don't see my tears, cause I dance in the rain. I can't sit and I can't stand in this. I'm supposed to be the man in this. I know nobody gives a damn, but it's just because nobody sees the damages. Yes, I've prayed, yes, I've cried to the depths of what causes SI. Now it's on to the next batch of green grass since you dried up your supply. Okay, fine, family. If it's to the point where you can actually just get out of the situation, enough force or forced escalation to be able to remove yourself from that situation. If you need to immobilize the threat, sure, I get it, but sometimes you don't need to go excessive, but then again, you can't guarantee that someone else is going to hold back when they feel the need to defend themselves in whatever fashion they see fit in that moment. You can't guarantee that they won't do it, so you have to be careful about that. So everyone, keep your hands to yourself. Ladies, keep your hands to yourself. Fellas, keep your hands to yourself. I always reserve the right to defend myself against someone. If I can get away, I'll get away. Sometimes I'd rather walk away from a situation instead of standing there and having it escalate to a point to where it could get physical, because I don't want to go through all that. You never know to what extent someone's willing to take it, especially if they think that maybe their reputation or their ego gets involved and their pride gets involved. Sometimes some people will do some things just because other people are watching. and they're going to want to be looked at a certain way, and it's just if you're not really into all that, then just try to get out of that situation if you can, for real. That's the way I do it. So yeah, I'm just chilling in the kitchen right now. I know it's a little different situation, but hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm going through a bit of a transition, so I'll be moving some things around, and y'all will see me in different areas and different backgrounds maybe, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, still making some moves. So it's good, good stuff. I do have, and I know and this is actually, it's coming up on the 4th of July weekend. So happy 4th of July to everyone. Yay, America. All that good stuff. So I do have a song that just came out on the 3rd, or it's coming out on the 3rd or whatever. It's called Napalm. Yeah, that fire. Napalm by Flava Hype. And there's a feature on there. I collaborated with an artist that I've worked with before. Her name is Emilion. Talented female artist, extremely talented lyricist. Love working with her. So we've had some dealings before, collaborations before. We were in a group before. It was called iReal, like the acronym IREEL. I run each and every lane. So we were trying to get into a situation where we can do some music and also get involved in other areas of entertainment. So we have other lanes of entertainment that we would get into. I run each and every lane. So that's what we're kind of going for. But yeah, so we did that. We had a few songs together. It didn't quite work out as a group, but we still are still cool, and we still collaborate and work with each other and things like that. So it was her and another artist, a producer by the name of Theory Formed. We just call him Theory for short. But yeah, so it was Emilion, Theory Formed, and Flava Hype in the group called iReal. And we did some performances. We had a show in Miami a few years ago. We were some VIP artists performing in Miami. It was hot. I don't mean literally hot, but it was just a great hot show that we did. We performed some songs, and other great artists were out there. So we got to network and I get to know some people, get to know the area a little bit. Not too much, but we spent some time there, a few days to do the show. Had a bed and breakfast, Airbnb that we were there. It was great. It was a good time, a good vibe. Made some good music, made some good connections. Put on a great show and all that. So it was just an overall good time to be there. Yep. So it was Miami, probably about maybe 6-7 years ago, something like that. So somewhere around there. It was really fun though, but it was great. But yeah, so again, work with Emilion. So be on the lookout for that song called Napalm. It's out, or will be out. By the time y'all see this, it'll be out on all streaming sites. Napalm, Flava Hype featuring Emilion. Yeah, and there's there's the regular version, and then there's an edited version. So if y'all hear it on this, y'all will probably more than likely hear the edited version if it's going to be played. Yeah. All right, that's what's up. Oh, I did do some. Now, I know I mentioned before, there was you probably saw some of the pictures and things like that I'm going to be doing. I did have the video. It's like a short. It's called a short, like a film. They call them shorts and things like that. It's like a little over a minute long. Maybe I don't even know if it's 2 minutes long or something like that. But while I'm doing my little acting thing, I'm trying. Like I said, I'm trying to venture off into some different things. I've always loved acting. I just didn't pour into all that like I did my music. But I'm still, trying to get my feet wet in it and do some things like that. So there's a short out now. It's being produced by a very talented director, videographer, a cinematographer, and a writer by the name of Sylvester Folks. So he wrote it for me, and I was able to work with him in order, he was also the director for it. Like I said, it's not very long, but it's just, it could be something, it could be something big, if it ever gets picked up and, gets expanded on some things with some more script, more writing and all that kind of stuff. But it was great. It's called Dear Lisa. Yep. And so I'll be promoting that as well. Anytime I'm going to do anything other than music and I'm on here, if I have whatever else going on, I think that's huge for me, because you never know, someone could see it and they might have some connections. They might be writing a script and they might see me and think, oh man, he'd be great for it. I'm like, hey, I'll let your boy. I'll definitely, if I can, I would love to be a part of any collaborations with any other artists, music or film, or it's, video, film, whatever you want to do. So I'm down to do it, to expand my acting and work and grow and continue to get better, just improve on that. Like I said, that's kind of my second thing as far as entertainment goes. I love being involved in that as well. So I want to expand on that and do a little bit more. Yep. So be on the lookout for, I think it'll be on YouTube, or I'll promote I have the link. The link will probably be here too, but on my social media, like on either my Flava Hype pages, or my personal one, Jonathan Carter on Facebook, I'll have the links up there to that particular short, so y'all can watch that as well and kind of check it out. And I do a little voiceover. You'll see me doing the acting and the kind of me there, but you'll also see me doing the voiceover, or not see, hear me doing the voiceover, and that as well. And so yeah, but it's me acting. It's just me by myself in that, but it's written and directed by Sylvester Folks. So shout out to Sylvester Folks. Thank you so much. An honor working with you, good sir. And I hope to do more with you. And yeah, so that's what's up. So there you have it. Got the new music coming out. Probably have me on the screen somewhere. You'll be able to see me in, some of those stuff. Maybe that Netflix thing, or Tubi, Hulu, Paramount, HBO. Maybe the silver screen, maybe the big screen for real. See me up in theaters. Probably like that. I wouldn't mind that either. I would love to do that. But yeah, so you be on the lookout for it. Flava Hype, you know what it is, in the kitchen and also in the building.
If tomorrow never came, or life threw you a curveball, what if something happened while you were away? It's not what you leave them, it's what you teach them. Get the only course today you'll ever need to build your family's financial future. Get started at jjjinvesting.com.
Hey. Okay, look. I already know. You never met nobody like me. Never have you ever. But you gon' find out. First off, I'm not your average Negro. I heard the beat, a pencil grabbed me and said, here we go. I was with it as soon as I heard the strings in it. Johnny Storm lit it up, but waited till the thing hit it. Sue Storm made the beat, got a fantastic engineer. Had to take a bow, cause I wanted the crowd to gather in. You ain't really ready for the way we about to flex. We giving it to you now, so ain't no need to call the next. I became a gator so that I could lock jaws on the track. Once it's ripped off, ain't no way it's gon' reattach. It's never getting full.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Believe the Hype. And remember, don't believe the hype unless it's Flava Hype.